I've got tea again. I'd just like to point that fact out. And that is a stupid thing because I always sit down to record just after I grabbed a cup of tea. Which means either I have to drink it constantly throughout the recording and then edit that out, or I have to drink it all now whilst it's hot and then start recording. Why didn't I just drink it before I started? Problems. Anyway, hello and welcome back to The Lion's Den. I'm your host, Matt, as always, and funnily enough, I've done nothing this week. Nothing of interesting or nothing of note particularly, so it's gonna be an interesting one, I won't lie. I did have a slight scare yesterday at the gym because I was doing an exercise called leg press, where essentially you put your legs on a plate, and depending on the machine, either you push said plate out or you push your body away from the plate. And I think because it was the first exercise I did, when I went in raw, my knees were just like screaming at me, and I was slightly concerned. So I just kind of made sure to stop, take it slow, maybe drop the weight down a bit, and then warm my legs back up until eventually I was doing a set and they were fine. They didn't feel like anything, which is how they're supposed to feel. So that's all good. Anyway, I've just got a couple random things to talk about. This episode's possibly going to be a bit short, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but I do try and aim for about 10 minutes an episode or a little bit over that, because, editing takes things away. I say that as if I'm a good editor. I literally slap a couple of filters on it so that it doesn't sound like garbage, and then chop anything that's stupid. So if you hear ums, it's because I thought it sounded correct, otherwise I take them out. Secrets. The secrets of podcasting. Sounds like a book. So, I had this random thought the other day that just popped back into my mind because it's something I've seen before and it's something I really love. The thought of. It's kind of escapism. And it's this post that often goes around where it's like, oh, the last X that you saw is now what you live in, i.e. the last TV show you watched is now the world you live in, or the last video game you played is now the world you live in. I prefer the video game one because I don't really watch much TV. Obviously, the concept of the post is that you don't get a choice in the fact. It's just whatever you are last played, you're now stuck in, right? So it'd be kind of funny because the last game I played was Smash Bros. Actually. So that'd be a really good one. I'd get stuck in a world where I just get to fight with really cool people all day, and obviously the roster of characters in Smash Bros is awesome, so that's really fun. And you get to visit like slightly different worlds, which is really awesome. Obviously, to some people, they might get stuck in like Frogger, I don't know, which is kind of terrible, right? But one of the games I'd really like to get stuck in is Spyro 2 Gateway to Glimmer. That's what it's called in the UK. I don't know what it's called outside of the UK or outside of the PAL region, I think it's called, but that's what it's called here. And that's what I remember it as. And I really love that game. I loved it as a child because it was the first Spyro game I had. I never had Spyro 1 as a child. It was really weird. I think I didn't understand the concept of linear progression through video games, You play the first one, and then the second one kind of builds on the first one. Oh, mind-blowing. I had a lot of fond memories of playing that game as a child, playing it not only at home but elsewhere. Like I remember we used to go to this huge wholesale store to buy stuff in bulk. It was called Macro in the UK, if you know what I'm talking about. Amazing. And they'd have like a little cafe, and they'd have one of those setups where they had a console with a game on it and some like hardwired controllers so that you can't steal it, right? And on there they would have Spyro 2, and I loved that because my parents would just go off and look around and pick up whatever it was they wanted to buy, and I'd just sit playing Spyro 2 in the middle of a giant warehouse basically, which was always really fun. I loved playing it myself at home. I think I 100% completed it a couple times, and then when they made the Reignited trilogy, I squealed because not only did it give me an opportunity to play the first game for the first time in my life, it also gave me a chance to relive my childhood playing 2 and then subsequently 3. I have very, very fond memories of 2. I don't think personally there's anything with the game particularly wrong. There might be a couple missions that are a bit like and the speedways aren't great, but they don't impact the main story of the game too much. You don't need to do the speedways unless you want to go for completion. But when I saw the Reignited trilogy and how they updated all the textures and the models, I was like, this is so gorgeous, and the slightly refined music was just amazing. And to me, when it comes to this question of being stuck in a video game, I would love to be in Spyro 2 because of Autumn Plains. Autumn Plains is just such a wonderful place to me personally, probably just because of nostalgia. None of the levels there are particularly worthy of note. There are lots of fun levels throughout the game, and no hub world has the best selection of levels to me. I just love the hub world itself because the atmosphere is just so wonderful. It's so ethereal but relaxing. The castle is really nicely designed, and the skybox is just this wonderful sort of settling autumn dusk sort of, when the sky goes all those colors of orange and red and purple and blue. Oh, wonderful. And it just looks like such a wonderful place to be, wonderful place to relax and just enjoy yourself. Oh, I used to have an artist's painting rendition of part of the level as like a wallpaper because it was just so cozy. I think that's a good word to put, cozy. And I just remember like there's a part where you climb all the way up through the hub world's castle to the very peak of the castle, and you get this wonderful overhead view of the whole area, and then you use it to glide your way all the way out to a far distant platform, I think, to get an orb. That was delicious, lovely, absolutely fantastic. So yeah, I don't know, my brain just remembered that at some point during the week, and I thought it would be something to bring up. It'd be nice to hear kind of what places you guys really love in video games and would love to spend time in or just exist in. Obviously, I've talked about the place, dragons, and then all the other species that were introduced in that game. Awesome, so cool. So yeah. So the other thing that I wanted to bring up that I've had in mind is we did Secret Santa at work, which was really fun, really enjoyable to do, and I nailed it, by the way. I nailed my present. They literally said they wanted a Mickey/Minnie Mouse mug. I got them a Mickey/Minnie Mouse mug under £5 because that was the rule. It had to be under £5. So I nailed it, and it was not tacky. It was really classy. The person was like, "Wow, this is really nice," and I was like, "Yes, nailed it." So the person got me a literal bunch of chocolate because I love dark chocolate. This is my favorite. And they got me like a collection of different ones of different flavors and some just bog standard dark chocolate, which is really nice. I've been slowly working my way through them, slowly eating them and enjoying them. The problem is they got me a bar of 83% dark chocolate, which just eating that raw, not fun. And I've been really unsure as to what to do with it, really, because in the UK we don't really have the best fruit, which was my first thought, is, melt it down into like a little bit of a thin ganache style thing and then dip fruit in it, but sadly fruit is not the best in the UK. My second thought, which I think is what I will go with, is French hot chocolate. So obviously because it's winter, and when I got all of it, obviously it was Christmas time, hot chocolate's kind of on the line, it's in the air, and I was thinking I could maybe use this 83% dark chocolate to make a really nice hot chocolate, because obviously most basic hot chocolates are just milk chocolate. I'm saying chocolate so many times. So I've googled some recipes for it, and it looks fairly simple. The problem is it's simple ingredients but a slightly complex process. There's a few steps to get it to be perfect. So if I wanted to do it correctly, I'd have to make sure I get everything out and have the right equipment and do it properly, because I don't want to waste the chocolate, right? It's good chocolate. It's not cheap. It's not super expensive, but it's not cheap is what I'm saying. Because obviously it was the budget, right? But yeah, it's just been one of those things of not knowing quite what to do with it, having an idea, but knowing that the idea is complicated. My alternatives was I was thinking of making a mousse, like a chocolate mousse. I think that would be really nice with the dark chocolate. The only thing is the recipes I've seen would use the whole bar, which is great, but then it would produce a lot of mousse, which then either I'd have to consume entirely or I'd have to try and get my family to consume, and I and my mother like dark chocolate, but I don't think the rest of my family does. So that's problematic, to say the least. What can you do? So yeah, there you go. There's a couple random things that I've been that's been on the mind recently. So we will see how we go, and if I do end up doing the dark chocolate, I'll let you know. I'll have to see if I can Google how to make it less dark, if that's possible. I don't know if you just add more milk or just change the ratio. That might be how you do it. We'll find out. Anyway, stay safe. Have a great week, and I'll see you all next week. Bye!